You look very nice, by the way, Nidhi. I like you. I know you're wearing gym shorts underneath there, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
No, actually, no. I did dress up for the part.
Oh, very nice.
My wife interview Mike. Yeah.
My wife does a lot of online stuff for a financial company, and she'll be the looks, and then the sweats down below.
I do that for our team meetings for sure. Yeah. I will lie. Okay.
And I guess Opta would have told me if it sounded junky, but the mic sounds fine.
Yeah, everything sounds good.
Yeah.
I got a new one. I bought a fancier one for the office since these aren't going away. I had a decent mic before, but I bought a nice Audio Technica.
Yes.
Yeah, so people seem to be joining. There's 9 people on right now.
Showing up on Monday morning. I didn't know what Monday morning was going to be like.
I think Monday morning is good because I think everybody starts getting busy with like Thursday, Friday, and then the weekends. And then Monday is generally very slow. We call it our Sunday in our team.
Really? It's slower for you guys?
For us too. Monday is quite quiet.
Yeah, normally for me, it's golf day. As a matter of fact, it still is golf day. That's why I need to kind of like at noon be. I got a 12:45 tee time, but we'll be fine. Although it's kind of cloudy and not very nice here in San Diego compared to normal.
Oh, it's sunny and nice here today.
You both in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
We both live maybe like a mile from each other. Yes. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to take everyone off screen and I'll add Nidhi and then Mike. So good luck.
All right. I'll be hanging out. Thanks, Opta. If I don't get to say goodbye at the end, appreciate all your help.
Of course. Yeah.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So great to see you today. I'm Nidhi from PayBee, and I'm one of the founders, and I'm really excited to have you all here today. As you know, PayBee, we build technology for charities primarily. Only charities, actually, and our commitment is to always provide you with the most cutting-edge stuff so that you can successfully run your events, right? Whether you're a nonprofit or an auctioneer or an event planner, anybody in this space, right? And webinars, the ones like we have today, is our way of expanding that scope, right? And to kind of bring you what else is happening in this space, what's new, what's interesting, so that you can, again, bring it back to your events. So we're really excited to have you all here today. I'm especially excited about our guest today, Mike Hogan. He's an auctioneer and an MC. He's been doing this for many, many years, as he tells me. He told me he started his career by auctioning off women's dresses in a bar. And he says it was way before I was born, though I don't believe him. I know the makeup helps. I'm a lot older than you think I am, Mike, but it's so good to have you here. I know he has processed over $250 million for his charities. What I most like about Mike is that he has a handle on everything, right? Whether it's the pieces while he's on stage or whether it's the technology running in the back end. to tell you a little more, while we were preparing for this event today, he was asking me, oh, should I connect through WeMix or should I send you a link? Should I do the like, no, Mike, today you get to relax. You get to be the guest, right? So we're very happy to have him here. Welcome, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Nidhi. It's nice just to be able to show up and push play and not have to do anything. So I appreciate you having me. And I look forward to chatting with everybody.
No, that's great. That's great. Mike, we'd love to kind of pick your brain today, about various different topics. To start off, I'd love to ask you, hey, what are you seeing on the ground, right? I mean, I know that last year, especially at this time last year, charities were really afraid of, what's coming up, how long COVID will last, how will they continue their work, their mission, continue raising funds. What are you seeing?
Well, I tell you what, there's still a little bit of confusion out there, and you're absolutely right. I was one of those thinking when this first happened that by June of last year, things will start opening up, things will start getting back to normal, and that didn't happen. But what I think we saw was a total revamp, recreation of the fundraising world, of which companies like PayBee have been a huge part of it, the virtual auctions. And thank the Lord that companies like yourself and similar companies thought of this, because otherwise, nonprofits would have lost millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And sadly, there are some that still did because they didn't believe that virtual auctions would work. So virtual auctions, at least in Southern California or in California, are still going right now. Our state has been a little late on opening up. So I see virtual is still working. The good news is first of all, I'm a member of the National Auctioneers Association, and I'm also a certified benefit auctioneer. So I get a lot of feedback from auctioneers all over the country. We're always picking each other's brains. And one of the nice things about auctioneers, if you're an auctioneer, you already know this. If you're with a nonprofit, you should know auctioneers are very open in sharing with each other best practices, things that work, things that don't work. It's not one of those communities where we're afraid of telling anybody any secrets because they might take them. So we all talk a lot about what's going on and what we like and don't like. And the great news is virtual auctions worked. Nonprofits, virtually everyone I did last year made as much money, and in some cases, much more money than they ever did. And part of that was tapping into new audiences. I did one for the Seal Legacy Foundation, which typically did 4 in-person events prior to COVID. This hit, and last summer, they were like, we need to do something. So we did virtual, and they attracted a huge audience. We made a lot of money, and they realized that they don't need to do 4 events in person anymore. They can do 1 event in person and take it hybrid. So I think that's what's going to happen. I did one for the National Conflict Resolution Center, which was typically a small 600-person in-person event here in San Diego. They took it virtually. They partnered with some other people that have a similar mission in different parts of the country. We ended up with over 20,000 people attending. Now, they did tag on after the fundraising portion. They had a couple of authors that had written books regarding Black Lives Matter when that was really a hot topic, and a moderator that was well known. So a lot of people joined for that, but they donated before. What I see happening in the future, if I had a crystal ball, I see virtual still happening in some cases, because for some nonprofits, it just works. I see hybrids definitely coming up. And if you're not familiar, basically, you've got 300 people in a ballroom. And this is even when COVID restrictions go away. People are talking hybrids now because you're not, and it depends. Now, California, they say come July or June 15th, we can open it up full throttle. We'll see. But there was a fear for a long time that, you weren't going to, your typical 600-person gala was going to be 200 people and the rest hybrid. So you're going to see some of that. But I also think you're going to see organizations like the National Conflict Resolution Center, another one I've got coming up in the fall, I believe with you guys, called Plant with Purpose. Their majority of their donor base is in San Diego, but they have small pockets in Denver and in Texas and in the East Coast that typically can't make their way to the gala, but would love to be a part of it. So this year we're going to be able to include them. So I see that happening, and then I see some of the smaller schools, things like that, going back to the old traditional way of an in-person gala. So that was a lot of rambling, but that's what I'm seeing. But from a fundraising perspective, the majority of people, they got hurt financially in the pandemic. were not typically our philanthropic donors. Sadly, they were the restaurant people and the hotel people and the event people took it pretty bad. But a lot of your, financial, as you see, a lot of businesses are doing well. The market's doing well. And people, they weren't taking vacations. They weren't going out to dinner. And so donations and giving has been up, and it's been really, really good. So that's awesome for the nonprofits, because that's what we want to see, number one. And it also makes life a lot easier as the auctioneer when people are in the mood to donate. So I hope, did that kind of answer your question?
No, it did. And again, even we watch so many events, right? We pretty much end up watching every event hosted on our platform, and we are seeing the audiences expand. So we had one education fund organization, and they were telling us post-event that, hey, we had our kids join, right? The gala. They have never been able to come to a black tie gala before. But now with this new format, they joined, and they knew the work we were doing as parents, and why we away on like every weeknight participating in these meetings and the difference we're trying to make in their lives. So it's very special to see that just the community has expanded now. And
I had a private school on Friday night that they only have 200 families. It's a private Catholic school. 200 families attend the school or enrolled in the school, but we had 350 families or 350 people logged in online. There were grandparents and aunts and uncles, primarily grandparents, that were in different parts of the country that would never be able to participate in this sort of thing. They were like, sure, we'd love to be in on it. So I really see hybrids becoming super, super, almost pretty much, I think they will become the new normal. I think you'll see more hybrids than you will just non-hybrids.
I feel so too. I feel if an organization is running in person, why not just add the virtual component and just have everybody else join as well? It's not any exponential added cost for them. It's just incremental, and it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So tell me a little about the flow of events, right? Like I know that, again, you've started brainstorming quite a bit on like hybrid events with your clients, but how is the flow changing? Are auctions and the event run of shows, are they the same like they used to be, in person, virtual, hybrid, or are they changing? What do you
virtual, a lot of people at first started off trying to do a ton of, turning it into a 2-hour production. Most people won't stay on to watch the Grammys or the Oscars for 2 hours. They cut in and out. So a virtual event, unless you really have like Jay Leno or some A-string talent shows up, at least I determined, keep them short and keep them sweet for a straight virtual event. So it was, my philosophy was get in, a little welcome from someone representing the organization, kind of an update on where they're at, how they've been negotiating COVID, why they need the money, because the programs are still running. The Boys and Girls Clubs, they're still, while they're not operating in their normal capacity, they're still providing a service. Almost all these nonprofits kept going. They just had to, again, revamp. Food banks, it said to revamp how they were doing it. But on the virtual, my feeling was get in and let people know why you need the money, do a quick welcome, fund a need first, absolutely, in a virtual, because again, in a live auction, in the old traditional ballroom days, a live auction item would appeal to maybe 20-25% of the people in the room, the trip to Hawaii. Whereas a cash ask, or the fund a need, as we call it, is something everybody can participate. They're there because they want to support the organization. So do that early. Make sure you have a good heartstring video, just like you would if everybody was in a ballroom. Really get to them, and then do the fund a need. Take a short break. Have somebody from the organization again say thanks, appreciate it. Maybe show another quick video. And then the difference in the virtual, and this is just something I've been doing that I think's worked very well. Instead of doing a live auction item in the traditional live way where you close the item right there at the moment, we've been opening. So they really become more like a super silent auction item. The items that typically would have been live in a ballroom situation, the bidding opens on them, say the Monday before the event. People can bid right up through the event. And then after the fund a need, I'll go through and feature maybe 6 of the items. We'll bring them up on screen, talk about them a little bit. I'll say, we opened the bidding at $1,000. We're now at $2,500. And I will try to promote a little more bidding in that 2 or 3 minute period. Do we have 27? Do we have 29? And then go ahead and let them know we're going to go ahead and keep the bidding open until 8 o'clock tonight. And that's worked real well. Every single time I've gone off air, people have continued to bid on those live auction items. So you can't do that in person. And when we do hybrids, you're not going to be able to do it. But if you're doing straight virtual, that's what I suggest. I think it's going to be interesting. I've done two hybrid auctions so far, and I've got several coming up. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how we do the timing on that. Obviously, people don't want to log in and watch people eating their salads or cutting up their steak, etc. So I think things like the welcome, but yet we don't want the virtual guests missing out on the welcome from the CEO or the director of events or the nonprofit director. So I think you're going to see the in-person. It's going to be more, come on in, hi, how are you, welcome, go ahead, get dinner underway, and then typically, again, once you're getting ready to get the event going, you go live to the virtual audience. But I think prior to that, and this is something I think I mentioned to you, it might be kind of fun to have a sneak peek. One of the things that I'm going to suggest to all my clients is having a wireless second camera in the room. So most galas, there's quite often one camera that's focused on the main speaker and it's showing up on the screens, IMEG. If you don't have that, it's an easy add. It's not that expensive. But I think even adding a second wireless camera with somebody kind of with their more in the stage area shooting out at the audience as the bidding is going. So if I've got somebody in the room bidding and I've got somebody virtually bidding, the virtual bidder can be seeing the in-room bidder. I'll have my cameraman, if he sees bidder number 179 is going back and forth, he can go in on 179. But then the in-room bidders can see on the screen where we're showing PayBee and others will have a monitor, a confidence monitor, kind of showing the in-person guests what's happening in the virtual world as far as bidding. And you can kind of create that almost in-person experience. And also prior to going live, I think it'd be kind of fun, like a lot of times they will at the awards, so have a little sneak peek. So they could cut off, you'll have your pre-show roll running for the virtual guests 30 minutes before you're to go live. But maybe a couple times during that, you could cut to the auctioneer and say, hey, everybody, you can see we're having a wonderful time here at the Hilton. We wish you were here. The guests are enjoying dinner. We're going to be going live to raise money for ResMed, and that'll be coming up in just a couple of minutes. I'll be back with you. Stay tuned to kind of feel like they're part of it. So, I see the fundraising being much tighter because that virtual audience is not going to want to sit on for 2 hours, I don't think. So I think breaking it up with a lot of entertainment during the live portion of it is probably not going to work as well in the hybrid. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I think especially what you mentioned, right? Keeping that tight-knit loop between a virtual donor and somebody in the room, right? What we've been spending a lot of time on at PayBee is like, how do we keep that really tight? So both of them should feel like they're in the same sphere,
space,
right? Same space, even if the one's virtual, one's in the room. And both of them, we want them to be bidding one after the other. That, hey, I'm going to beat him by another $100 and I'm going to beat him by another $1,000, right? It should just feel like it's just natural. Should not feel like, okay, yeah, we're waiting for a bid to come in. Oh, okay, that's 1,000. And oh, what's this? None of all that. It should be real time. And we want that adrenaline to like rise up, right? While you feel like, oh, I might lose it. And you're going to bid some more.
And just showing the excitement of that. Anytime I've done a promotional video for myself, I've always had the cameraman shooting the people in the audience, not me. I mean, so we'll have a little cut of me and whatnot, but seeing the people actually in the room, and that I think will bring your virtual audience in. And that being said, so it's really, really important that, you have an AV company that knows what they're doing, and you make sure you pay. And if a little hint, if we have any planners out there, when you're negotiating with your hotel for AV, one, if you can avoid using the in-house AV company, it'll save you a lot of money. So, look for a local company that does audiovisual, that specializes in nonprofits. And when you're negotiating with a hotel, let them know, hey, we've got a company that we like to work with. And probably most of you already do, but we've got a company we like to work with AV-wise. And is that not going to be a problem? If you tell them after you've signed the contract, sometimes they'll get really, really expensive on, yeah, you can bring in your own company, but you're going to have to pay blah, 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 blah. So let them know ahead of time and make sure that's negotiated in. And here's a big one that a client of mine just missed: the internet fee. You'd be amazed what some of these companies will charge, and usually it's through the AV company at the hotel, for one line of internet. So my client did not negotiate this in. And typically what we suggest from an AV side is to have at least 20 megabytes per second upload. That gives you plenty of headroom, no problems. 10 is kind of the bare minimum. Well, they didn't negotiate it in. So my client is paying a little over $3,000 for one 10 megabyte per second upload feed. And I know if they'd have negotiated that in when they were signing the contract for the 300-person dinner, they could have gotten that for a lot less, if nothing, because the hotel will not turn away your business over a little AV dispute. They do not want to lose your gala because you're not happy with what they're charging for an internet speed. But you want to make sure to make that work, like Opta was talking about, to make that in-person camera, live bidder, virtual bidder, live bidder, virtual bidder, you need very little, if like 1 second lag time. So you need to make sure you're getting a good stream to a good feed, and you've got a company. PayBee, I think is wonderful. They're my go-to, but whoever you're working with has got a way to make sure their bidders are almost real time.
That's true. And just to add to that internet, right? Also think about your donors. If you have a digital solution that they're going to be using to bid, then make sure there's enough, internet lines available for your guests, right? We saw that. And one of the things we're planning at PayBee is to give you the digital option as well as the paddle option. So they can still do paddle raise, and it'll just work just as well, right? And if you don't have internet, or if you're in the basement or something, donors can still participate in real time. But yes, you will need a pretty strong internet connection to just run the virtual portion, to be able to stream it to all your donors joining.
Right, and you want to make sure if the donors are using a mobile device to bid in the room, and there's some of the programs that might be doing that, they'll say, okay, we're going to be streaming on this service, but you bid via your mobile device. Again, make sure you've got plenty of, and this happened before the pandemic, events I did where we had mobile bidding companies, and all of a sudden 300 people jumped on their phone, and the service couldn't handle it, and it just is a disaster. And you do not want to miss out on money because of that. That is key, whether you're doing a straight virtual or a hybrid. If people can't donate, if that's being shut down, the whole thing is for naught. No good. Explain to me real quickly, Nidhi, on PayBee, on the hybrid end of it. So what you're suggesting is having some volunteers entering the live bids as they come in?
So, sure. So again, we're thinking about it from role standpoint, right? We understand there are different users who are going to be running different portions of hybrid. So first is the donors, right? They could be joining virtually, which is a digital experience. There could be donors joining in person, and the charity has an option to either go with the paddle option, or they could go the digital route. If they go with paddles, then we train the charity's volunteers to capture bids. So it's more like a divide and conquer kind of a setup, where you'll have volunteers. Hey, Nidhi, volunteer, you're going to be covering tables 1 to 4. And Apta is going to be covering tables 5 through 8. And then I will quickly enter the paddle races that I see on my tables only. And then it all kind of feeds in. At the same time, there are virtual donors who are also bidding, and everything shows live on the screen. While we were thinking about the whole experience, we realized we need something that's going to go behind the auctioneer, right? For everybody just to stay in sync. You need to be able to see who are the donors who are bidding virtually, see donors who are bidding in the room, right? And then showing a list of those. So we have a screen that kind of keeps up with the event. The content keeps getting updated, and it's just a plug-and-play solution for the big presentation screen. We realize there's another portion for you as an MC to be able to run the show, right? You need your own teleprompter with just the data with who's bidding, who's pledging, so you can kind of run the event. And then obviously we have one portion for the producer to decide what goes live, and we call that the control room, but they decide how to run the whole show from one place, right? And keep it all in sync. So yeah, different parts of the solution, but we do see there being a very specific need and a very specific purpose for each of them.
And I think you guys have got it pretty well thought out. And I've been thinking about your extra monitor. I think a lot of times you could actually use typically there's going to be a couple of projection screens in the room, use those for that, because they could show the video, the heartstring video or whatever, and then go to the feed showing the virtual donors. And I need that. The people in the room, I don't want them to be thinking I'm just making up the virtual donor 232 that just outbid them. So them seeing it helps. I am still a firm believer of paddles in the air, particularly for both the live auction and the fund and need for the people in room. There's something about seeing, I've done it where everybody is on their phones, and in my
That's
opinion, doesn't come across the same. Not at all.
I agree too. Just the whole like the emotion of connecting with the organization and raising your arm to show your support, even if it's with a paddle. I think it makes a world of a difference compared to hitting
Absolutely.
your phone and hitting a button. Though again, even on digital, we want to simplify so they're on the same screen and the content keeps changing. But still, like once you're on the phone, you're gonna click on your little notification from Instagram and then SMS and then check the webcam to see how the kids are doing and yeah, you've kind of lost their attention. So
But
I personally am also a believer in paddles, but
and I like the fact of having volunteers in the room entering it. So the paddle number goes up, but it still shows up on the screen. So again, there's kind of that. I did one earlier where we didn't have that. This was when it was brand new. I mean, it was like nobody knew what was going on. And it was kind of, I had somebody in the room and I had people bidding virtually, and it was just clunky. So if it's all showing up on the same screen for everybody, I think that'll work a lot better. But I think it's going to be an exciting year. I actually am looking forward to it. Auctions haven't been reinvented like they have been in the last 12 months. And I think there's going to be another year or two of reinventing the wheel and finding new ways to include the amount of people that we've been able to reach. The charities have been able to reach has grown exponentially. Like I said, the one in San Diego, from 600 people that knew about this charity or at least showed up to their gala to over 20,000 people throughout the world that got to participate in their fundraiser and learn about the charity. So it's mind blowing. The client was like,
it's true. No, that's true. Yeah, I just wanted to tell everybody in the audience, hey, feel free to share your thoughts, things that you've seen work. This is like open discussion for all of us. So feel free to use the chat while we continue talking away. And yeah, towards the end, I'm going to open it up for questions as well. So if something comes to your mind and if you have a burning question, feel free to leave it in the chat as well. Cool, Mike, I'm going to shift gears a little bit now on you. And I know one of the things you do well, two things that I'm going to pick on. One is just the variety of events, right? I've seen you run really creative events. I have not heard of anybody else run a horse race, right? And then bring that into an event. So tell me a little more about the kind of events. I know you've sent us some videos as well, which we'll,
sure,
show our audience as well. So tell us, and then we'll show them as well.
Yeah, I also host game shows. I do a Jeopardy, a Family Feud. I've done horse racing. I've done casino. And there are ways that you can incorporate that into a fundraiser. There's a couple of different ways. So in a virtual event, if you want to do something for fun after you've raised the money to keep the donors engaged, the horse racing program is real fun. And we'll show a short video of this. This is all for fun. There's no money. It's different in every state, but in California, we can't be betting or anything like that. So it's strictly just a way to engage the donors and see if they have some fun. The Family Feud and Jeopardy can definitely be done virtually and could be incorporated as part of a virtual event if you're trying to keep people online and get them engaged and talking a little bit more. And then I've had a few of the charities that found out I do game shows that are like, how could we incorporate your game show into something other than our gala? Most nonprofits like to do a few different events a year to bring their donors together. And a game show is one way you could do it. It's something that you can do, and we'll show some video. Actually, let's show the horse racing video just for fun, so they have some ideas to what I'm talking about. This is one where you could literally have as many people as you want join in, and you'll see me talk about the racing form comes up. I'll highlight the horses. You're not going to see the whole thing. We're cut it down to about a minute and a half. They run the race. These races are all great, super exciting, and then we get to see who picked the right horse and how much funny money they won. Go through the ads. Now, I will tell you, these races were all designed to be exciting, fun races. 4 of them are going to be flat races. 2 of them are going to be hedge races. The winner doesn't win all the time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and tell you something I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. The favorite horse in the 6 races, we're doing 6 races, the favorite horse only wins once. So if you think you're betting the favorite every time, it may not work for you. And once again, we're paying first and second place. So first up, it's the Legs Challenge. Once again, it's 1 mile and 2 furlongs. It's for 4-year-olds and above. The very first horse is going to be Daddy Shortlegs. Our second horse is 2 Left Hooves in the blue and orange. Our third horse going off at 3-1 is Flat Feet. Our fourth horse going off at 5-1 is Knobbly Knees.
So 2,000 metres, a mile and a quarter to run, and Daddy Shortlegs was very slow to leave the stalls. Long John Shiver, a confirmed front runner, is the one who takes two left hooves, is out in front. Spring Chicken towards the far side, and here comes Knobbly Knees. They're well inside the final furlong now. Two left hooves out in front by just over a length. Knobbly Knees taking his time, but he comes home to win in the dying strides. Knobbly Knees in front. In second, two left hooves.
There you have it. Knobbly Knees coming in from worst to first, ladies.
First, number 4. Second, number 2. Third, number 1. The fourth horse, number 5.
There
so
you
the full result of the Legs Challenge is a win for number 4, Knobbly Knees. What a really good performance, coming from last to first with just a few yards to go. Second was number 2, two left hooves. And third was number 1, Daddy Shortlegs.
All right, so here's what it paid off. Knobbly Knees went off at 5-1. So with a $10 bet, you win your $50 plus your $10 bet. So it looks like Mrs. Hedrich and Mrs. Nellie and Mrs. Nowak and Mrs. Onan all picked Knobbly Knees and came in, but we did have one second place finisher who had two left hooves, and that went off at 5-1. So that wins half of what it would have won if it was in first place. So it wins $25 plus the $10 original bet. All right. All right, there you have it. So that ran a little longer than I thought, but basically it's something people loved it. They had great fun. I ran 6 races. It took about 60 minutes. They would bet in chat, and then I had a couple of quote unquote bookies in the back end, kind of keeping that going. So that was kind of a fun, easy one. All I got to do is pick one horse and do it. There might be somebody in your area. I don't know where we have people logged in from. If you're actually, if you're doing it virtually, I'm certainly happy to help you with it, but you can look in your area and see if there's anybody else out there doing it. And then I think we have a clip of Family Feud.
Just a question, Mike. So this was pre-recorded, right? It's just that nobody knew about this race.
Right. I had the races. These were. Which makes it easy for us to figure out who the winners were, because what they did basically is type in chat which horse they wanted. So, and we already knew who won and who was second. So my bookies, quote unquote, as soon as the bets started coming in, they were able to go ahead and figure out, yep, this person won. They didn't. So it was really 3 minutes. There was no downtime afterwards. And the races were these races were all run in England, and I bought them through a company over there, and they were all designed for this exact purpose. So they were all like the finish on that one. They were all like that, all really close neck to neck. So I watched the video 6 times and I still got a kick out of it.
That seemed really fun. Tell us about the Family Feud you were.
So Family Feud is huge. I've done this for corporate events. Literally, I played with a group in Switzerland. A pharmaceutical company here, Arena in San Diego, hired me during the holidays to do something. So I played in the East Coast, the West Coast, Switzerland, etc. And this is exactly like Family Feud. This is another thing that you could do as part of a virtual event if you wanted to bring your guests in after the fundraising's done to create a little excitement and a little fun. It's also something you could do as a standalone event to bring donors in together to get to interact for a little bit. And you could have, like, for the families, you could have like the board playing some key donors. You could have some of the key employees of the organization, the nonprofit that everybody knows, playing, again, guests. So there's a few different ways you could spin it. And, you can run it for an hour. You can run it for 30 minutes. But it's exactly like the game show Family Feud. And again, I think you might be able to find, depending what area you're in, somebody to do it or not. I'm happy to travel wherever. So you want to run a second of Family Feud? It is. So we surveyed 100 different people. We're going to load the top 6 answers on the board, and I think you guys are going to like this since I've got 5 ladies and 1 man. Here are the top 6 answers. Chris and Jennifer, get ready. 100 people surveyed. Name something a scorned woman might do to her ex-boyfriend's car. Chris.
She would key the car.
Key the car. Yeah, that's number 1 answer. All right, good job. Key the car. You're really mad at your boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, actually. He's not even in the picture anymore. What might you do to get back to his car?
Take the battery out.
Take their battery out. Well, that'd certainly keep them from going anywhere. Is it up there? Show me take the battery. All right, the VS family, Peggy, Chris, Blake, and Deborah. If you get it right, you steal it away and you win the whole shebang.
Steal it back?
I say tow it. Get it towed.
We've got tow it. All right.
What do you say, Chris?
Oh,
Blake,
tow
what do you
it.
think? Blake, what did all your old girlfriends do to you?
He never made any of it. He never made any of it bad,
I
Peggy.
can't say I've had any craziness back at me, but I do like tow it. I can't think of anything better. So
Chris?
Blow it up. Burn it up. Blow it up.
He just automatically got it. It didn't.
So we're going with tow it.
Go with tow it.
All right, for the win. No. So do you want to? Okay, I'll tell you this much about it. You couldn't do this to an electric car. Does that help you?
Yes.
Yes.
So what could you do to a gasoline?
Gas tank.
Yes, that is it. Put sugar in the gas tank. That's an old faithful way to get them going. And on this one, the right team wins. So that's, again, something that you could do both virtually, totally online, or you could do that in person. You can bring people together. In fact, that's what I used to do. All this virtual stuff just came up a year ago because, like, I need something to do here. So that was fun. And the last, if we got a second to show Jeff, do you have any questions?
I was going to ask you about the casino night because
casino.
I'm not able to go to Vegas as much, and I'd love to still participate.
This was amazing. This actually, I brought a company in out of Chicago to help me with this, but I had a client that typically did a casino as part of their fundraiser, and they wanted to include it. So this was all done via Zoom. There were 20 breakout rooms, like 16 of them or 14 of them were blackjack, 2 were craps, 2 roulette, 2 were Texas Hold'em, and people could bop around between the different breakout rooms. There were actual live dealers. So when you went into a room, it was like, hi, Opta, you're playing blackjack, you're player number 5. And they actually were all given, like $300 in funny money to start. The only part that was on the honor system is they move from room to room. When they leave a room, the dealer would tell them, okay, you're leaving with $100. And when they went into a new room, they had to tell the dealer, okay, I've got $100 to start. So you kind of had to be on the honor system there. But again, it was strictly for fun. So there was no point in cheating. But this is, I think we're showing a little bit of blackjack and some craps. Mm-hmm. Survey says 3, 2, 1. Or maybe we're not.
After did we have the casino night video? Okay. Okay. Let's start. Let's do the Jeopardy. Maybe.
All right. Yeah, I don't think she mentioned Jeopardy. This was fun. This was an in-person event.
Here's Jeopardy.
You guys ready to play Jeopardy? Yes. Let's do Bartel Hotels for 500. Bartel Hotels for 500.
This hotel has the longest serving PBX operator in all of San Diego and over 21 years of service.
How do you answer? San Diego's Big Bay is home to these 3 islands.
What are Shelter Island, Harbor Island, and Coronado?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the blue team. Second place with the orange team with 2,000 points. Magenta, good showing with her time. And green team consolation prize, 500 points. I hope you guys had a good time. Congratulations. Breakfast is coming your way and enjoy the rest of the morning. Thanks.
So I think that it'd be a really fun one because you can actually play the system I've got set up. I can play with 8 teams at a time. So I don't know if you noticed, but the tables, each one had a different color. So, there was the orange team, the yellow team, the green team, the blue team. And I think that is a great way to get to know, for donors to get to know staff of the nonprofit, the people that are involved with the nonprofit. You can even bring in some beneficiaries of the nonprofit, families, depending on what type of nonprofit it is, but maybe a family member or a cancer survivor or something that benefited greatly to be part of it. The Jeopardy can be customized, so you could actually have some of the categories. That was done for a hotel chain, so the categories were based in San Diego Tourism Association. So the categories were based on either San Diego or that particular hotels. But you could do things on the nonprofit. How many people did the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society help last year? Things like that. So you could really make that fun. But I think we're probably going to do this twice coming up as soon as things open up a little bit. But something like this could be done in like a microbrewery where you could charge $100 a person. The meal is, it's something simple: pizza, pasta, burgers. But it's more about like getting to know each other, interaction, and the charity can still walk out depending on what the ticket price is. But even if you kept it to 100 people at $100 a head, which again is a lot less than your typical $250 and above gala, it's $10,000 in revenue by the time you pay for the show and the food. I'm guessing you're looking at about half. So the charity still makes about $5,000, and more importantly, has a great chance for people to interact and bond more so than they would at a gala. So, and I guess we do have the casino up. So this one was done virtually. So again, this would be something. So I think in the hybrids, there might be a place where after the fundraising is done and the people live in the room go on to dancing or whatever they're doing, you have something that you can offer the virtual audience to keep them entertained for a little bit. So this is the casino.
2 on split 17 and 16.
2 between 16 17. Okay.
And I'll call.
That's it. All right, let's go to Blair. Blair, where am I putting the black chips?
I'm going to take them off the red.
Okay.
And I'm going to put one on image. I'm going to take one and split the zeros.
Okay.
And then put one on the corner of 13, 14, 16, and 17.
Balls in motion.
And here we go. So every player that went into the room, they were told, they were given their color of chips, just like you would be at a casino for crap. So, Nitty, welcome. You've got the orange chips. And they go ahead and there's an actual dealer there that's interacting with the guests. And here we go.
Black
What's it going to be?
Where it landed. Black 4.
I don't think many people won on this one.
So we had 12.
Yeah. And this is Blackjack. And
Let's
as you
hit
came
it.
into
Okay.
as they came into the room, they would say,
20, good
"Okay,
job.
Nitty, you're player number 3.
You safe.
I would have hit. I would have busted.
Me too. Number 3. We're at 13. Okay.
That's high.
18.
Three players to the flop.
So this is Texas Hold'em. I didn't think they were able to pull this off, but they did, and they loved it. These guys were just they wouldn't leave the room.
Pair of 10s and a pair of 2s and the 10 of diamonds. Rainbow board. First to Mr. Jeremy.
I check.
Player checks. Okay, next is Mr. Sean.
Check.
Okay. Mr. Steve.
I check too.
Okay, table checks. Free card. Here comes the turn. 7 of diamonds. 7 of diamonds.
So that was pretty much, it's just like Texas Hold'em. They just, as you come in, they say you're player number 3 or you're player number 4. You've got the red chips. And we had 180 players. So they're able to accommodate a pretty good sized crowd. And the guests just absolutely loved it. So I see that, as another option for entertainment for the virtual crowd once the live person crowd goes on to dance the night away or whatever they may be doing.
That's true. We are also seeing that fundraisers are just not about raising money anymore. I mean, you have to give them creativity. You have to give them a unique experience. Something that they can talk about after the event and remember your organization by.
And the biggest thing is you want to engage the donors and get them really in love with the nonprofit. And this is one way, when donors get to know each other and create that relationship. And hey, how did you find out about, which is a big thing that I always do, when I'm in a ballroom situation, and getting to actually talk to the guests, how did you find out about Plant with Purpose? How did you find out about Water for Life? And a big part of that for me, and I think we were going to talk about this, and I know time's getting short, but is getting to know the organization as an auctioneer. If you're a nonprofit out there, I strongly suggest you urge your auctioneer to come and visit, if at all possible, the organization and actually participate in something that they do. So if it's a school, I'll go to the school and take a look around and see, okay, well, this, and I'll actually go to extreme. So this is one of my absolute favorite nonprofits. It's called Plant with Purpose. They're in about 8 different countries, and they do reforestation, set up village savings and loans, et cetera. And after doing their event for about 7 years, hold on just a second, Nitty, this is Guatemala. We just moved from the Dominican Republic to Guatemala. But Plant with Purpose, after watching their gala for 6 years of participating in it and seeing the slides, I was just amazed by what they did, but I really didn't fully understand it. So, and I'm sure some of you nonprofits maybe have this option that are more international. I was able to go on what's called a mission trip for like $600, and we all stayed in this kind of bungalow. So as an auctioneer, I really got to know some other people that were involved with the nonprofit, as well as the staff, really bond with them. It wasn't fancy. We had cold showers, but it was one of the most rewarding of trips. And that was the tree planting you saw. This is in Guatemala. It's a nonprofit I work with called Water for Life. They provide life-saving water filtration devices to villages. It's amazing how many people die because of bad water. I had no idea. I mean, I live here in the States. We don't have that problem. We got Sparklets, we got Avion, whatever. But you go to some of these third world countries and you see little kids drinking big things of Coke because it's cheaper and more available than water, and it's terrible. So I went to Guatemala, and again, this was a very inexpensive trip. Went with a group from the organization. Some were just donors and avid fans of the organization, and of course we had a few representatives. But now when I get in front of those crowds, the first Plant with Purpose event I did, when I got up and they were showing the videos, and I got ready to do the Fund a Need to ask them for money and explain what that money did and the change it made in people's lives. There was something that was coming out that I could not. I always think I do a good job. You know, I don't think you necessarily have to go to the Dominican Republic to be able to represent a nonprofit. But boy, if you can do it, or even if it's local, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society I do here in San Diego. I went to one of the clinics and got a tour and met some of the researchers and found out a little bit about what they do. St. Paul Senior Centers was remodeling their dining room for their seniors. That was where the majority of the money was going one year. And I went down and I saw just, the old dining room, which was adequate, but it needed upgrading, So when I got up to speak about that, I knew. And then I also got to see the plans for the new dining room and how beautiful it was. And Boys and Girls Club, I went and visited and they have an awards event where they award the Boy and Girl of the Year for that club. And I went and attended that little dinner in the gym, and boy, if your auctioneer can just one time go and visit your organization and participate in something like that, it will make a huge difference in the job they do for you in the future. For me, I'm passionate about what I do. I'm very grateful that I get paid, but I also like to think I provide a service and help people. So that's very meaningful for me.
I know you call it as a tip to everybody else. I would call it as your secret sauce, because I have seen, right, the difference, like the connection you're able to build with your community, though you're sitting in San Diego and on the other side of the screen. I think just the emotional connection you're able to build through the screen is quite amazing.
Well, and I tell you, when I'm talking to donors at a live event, I remember Plant with Purpose, the first year I came back during the silent auction, as I'm going around and, talking to different people bidding on the silent auction and being able to, talk to them about, I was there. I saw what they did. It's absolutely amazing. And it was. I knew they did great work. I had no idea how great and the impact they made on people's lives till I was actually there. I've got one coming up here in San Diego that I just booked called Fresh Start, and they provide pro bono surgery for kids. This is not third world country. This is kids right here in the United States, right here in San Diego, suffering from cleft palates, missing ears, things like that, and surgeons, anesthesiologists, nurses. And I'm going to be going to one of their surgical weekends and seeing that. And while I'm not excited that these kids have to go through it, I'm excited to see that they're able to get help. And that, I think, comes through when you're standing in front of a group of 100 or 1,000 donors and asking them to give of their treasures, that you have that passion come through.
Not true. So tell me a little more about the numbers, right? I know this organization, you ran their auction for 6 years, and then you visited their site in person. And how did the fundraising numbers change?
We went up, and I'm sorry, I see auctioneers taking credit a lot of times for, I came in and they did Well, I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just conditions, and it's just, a good auctioneer will make a difference. They will make, don't bring an amateur in, don't have the TV guy do it. An auctioneer will pay for themselves, but it's not all about the auctioneer. You got to have the ability. But everyone I have done, donations go up. And the other thing is you create a rapport. People really, I can speak on behalf of the organization rather than speaking about the organization, because I've actually been there, not just visited their website. And again, I think donors go, wow, he was really believed in that. He was passionate about that. I'm sold. This is, I get that they're doing good work. So I would tend to believe that the fundraising amounts would never go down by having your auctioneer visit what you do or go where you go. But I always get a little funny about talking. You'll never see me, saying that, yeah, I increased, the auction 100% this year. There's a lot of factors that go into that. So many of the nonprofits do such a great job that we never even see with donor retention and donor interaction. And they kind of set the stage for the good auctioneer to come in that night then and go ahead and just ask for the money. But there is an art to asking for people to give money. Not everybody can do it.
No, you're too humble. I was trying to pull out a number, but we'll leave it at that. No, it makes a big difference. I have seen it. Yeah. Okay, very good. I'd love to open it up to the audience. If you have a question for Mike, for me at PayBee.
George Franco. I know George.
All right. So George is asking, speak to the difference between what people in the room see and what people at home see. Is the web producer presenting the pages, doing it for both audiences? You want to take Mike?
I think what George is talking about is in a hybrid. And my feeling, and again, we're kind of finding this out, but I think the way I'm going to ask my team to do it, and I do full production as well, but I'm going to be streaming the same thing to the virtual guests that my in-room audiences are seeing. So if somebody from the organization is standing up and doing a welcome and it's showing on the screens in the room, that is also going to be showing, just look at Seth's question. That'll be showing to the people that are watching virtually. I think it should be identical. I don't want, other than dinner and things like that, I think it's going to be the same. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, George.
I agree too on that point, right? I do feel that, hey, yes, the experience should be catered to the audience member. They should feel like, hey, they're a part of it, and this was designed for them. Like, nobody should feel like, hey, I'm just watching something being telecast in the room. Right? That is no fun. It should feel like, hey, this was like your casino people, right? They were just so into it, right? Or your horse racing people. I think that's how it should feel.
I'm not sure about Seth's question. Have the ability to take bets?
I can take that.
Okay, good.
So yes, we can, right? So we do support the Last Hero game. And we've seen that to be so successful. Like, the fundraising portions are done, the live auction is done. You've sold multiples as well. Again, that's something we support. One thing we truly believe in is that the auctioneer should be able to make real-time decisions, right? Like, you're going on and you say, hey, we have 3 or 4 people really going at it for this vacation package. You say, hey, let's stop and let's sell multiples. It just helps the charity raise a lot more, right? So we do have the sell more feature on an auction, which is extremely popular. And kind of coming back to Last Hero, right? All the auctions done, the fundraiser is done, and now it's just an ability for people to get competitive and get in the spirits and just give, right? They're participating, they're pledging at every level. So we do support that. People have used it to collect votes as well. We had one organization which had musical bands, right? And they had different bands playing, and then people were voting for it. We had another organization which had 12 people doing makeup on screen, right? And then after that, they'd have like this whole drag lip syncing. So they would play music and then everybody's lip syncing. At the end of it, people would vote for Last Hero, typically giving $1 to show their vote. And the charity is still raising funds while they vote. And then they would announce, hey, who did not make it through the next round? So again, a lot of creativity possible. And it's been really fun for us to watch those.
You know what? It is funny that Seth mentioned that, and this is something I hadn't really thought about, but it's taking bets. So, you could actually, for the like Family Feud or Jeopardy, you could actually have, I guess it would depend on the legalities in your state, so please check on that. But donating, I don't know how you'd word it, donating towards the team that they think is going to win.
Supporting.
Yeah, supporting, that's the word.
Supporting, yes. Okay, we have a question. In a hybrid auction, how would you manage bidding online with bidding done in person via a silent auction? So again, I can take that, Mike. So we do see silent auction and live auction being completely different, right? Silent auction is something that's done offline. People are doing it on their own time. They get outbid, they can go take action. And live auction is something where people are bidding in real time during the event going on and then closing it right there. Right, the kind of energy that the live auction generates when there is the auctioneer who's talking and getting people excited, and you have the chat going where people are cheering for you, and kind of, oh man, I lost out on that, and you're hitting the button to show your bid all in the same screen, in the same experience. It's a whole different experience. I don't know, Mike, if you've been using multiple technologies, PayBee being one of them. Have you seen a difference in like the whole single screen experience versus multiple screens and chats? And what are your thoughts?
I'm not sure I totally understand. You mean in terms of different formats, different formulas?
Yeah.
In other words, like somebody watching on YouTube and bidding in chat?
Yes, watching on YouTube, chatting there, or going on a different screen to watch it, and going on a silent auction screen, finding it, and then bidding. What are your thoughts?
You know what? I've had different nonprofits use different things. I did one on a Friday night that it was actually, I think a company like a PayBee where it's all in one spot is absolutely the best way to go, where they can watch the stream, they can see what the item is, and chat can be going on all in one place. I think the less donors have to think, I got to log into this and then I got to be watching this on my phone, the better off they are. So not that the other things don't work. I did do a very successful Zoom, where they were watching on Zoom and bidding in chat, and they had a software company collect all the data prior to, so they were able to go ahead and charge, because if you can't collect the money, what's the point of doing it? So they were able to do that, but it was a little clunkier. And in the end, I don't think they really saved that much money, to be honest with you. And it did not look as, the presentation was as good. You want to make sure that even if you're virtual, that the presentation looks sharp, that the green screen, the technology, the sound, the video is good.
Yeah. No, that's great. Hi, Nick. Nick and his organization organized that drag race, which is really
like
fun.
With cars.
Really saying hi.
With
no,
cars?
it was actually drag queen.
Okay, that was my other option. Okay, so that had to be interesting. I that could be fun.
That was really great.
We
do have somebody talking about using multiple screens, right? Hey, maybe have them watch on the screen and have another device. We've seen that, again, as humans, we're all lazy, right? If you make humans, go to this page and do this and search for this, one is we might not do it. And second is if we go there, we might not come back, right? I think it's more so important with this whole virtual experience that you kind of keep them engrossed in the screen and have them take action when they feel like it's right there, right? Make it easy for them. Make it dead simple for them, like no manuals, no instructions, right? It should all be intuitive. At least that's what we keep pushing our team to keep thinking about, right? So that the intuitive experience. So I would say don't use two screens.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I did one 2 weeks ago where, they were watching the stream on YouTube and then they were bidding via their mobile device. And it worked. It was fine. I don't know that they lost any money, but my feeling is, especially if you have donors, and now this is not the big problem that it was 10 years ago when mobile bidding first came in, where some of your older donors they were not technology friendly hardly at all. They're like, nope, we don't want any part of this. Most everybody, grandpa and grandma, Zooms with their kids. So things are a lot better, that way. But still, if you can send them one link, you don't want them that day getting confused. Where do I have to go? If you just, they get a prompt on their phone or a prompt on their laptop, click on this and you're in. You're good. You can bid, you can watch, you can chat, do the whole thing. I think that is the way to go for sure. I do like, one of the things I like about PayBee now that you guys didn't used to have is you can go full screen. So I'm doing an event with you guys coming up actually next Sunday, and it's a Music for a Cause event. So we're going to be coming on. We've got an artist here in San Diego who's going to be doing the painting that we're going to be auctioning off. So he's going to come on and play a couple songs and then introduce me. So while he's playing, I'm going to have the person running the back end showing him in full screen. We don't want to be watching in a live stream this great musician doing a painting in a little bitty box. So he'll go full screen, but then when I come on, we'll go ahead and go to the typical donate screen where, I'm a little more minimized and the other features are up. Then when I'm done, and for the rest of the music program, which is about 40 minutes, they can go full screen and get great audio and great video. So I think that is important. I know that was one of the reasons a lot of people were opting towards using Two, because they were limited to just a tiny little screen with some of the software platforms. And you guys anyway have fixed that.
That's true. We are full screen right now, and we are running this on PayBee. So yes, that's how full screen would work. I want to touch upon the previous point, right, that we just discussed about two screens. And I think it's more about the opportunity cost that you miss out when you have that kind of experience. You'll never know what it would have been if you had a more tighter, cohesive experience. Yeah, someday I don't know if I'll be able to do an A/B test to compare the same organization running the same event with two groups of donors. It's more like a hunch and a feeling and just observation, right, from watching many, many events. But anyway, yeah.
Real quickly, George's question. There's no way to do it. There is absolutely no way to do it. I think the easiest, this is all new territory, so if anybody has a better idea, I'm all up for it. But my feeling is when we start the stream, or when we start to show the video in the ballroom, it is going to be going out on the stream. Now, you well know that depending on what that person is watching it on, if they're at home in a hardwired situation where they've got great internet, they might, only be having a second or 2 seconds lag time. If they're watching it on their iPad sitting out in the backyard through Wi-Fi, it could be a 15-second delay. We're going to kind of have to see how that goes, but I don't think there's any way you could time it like, okay, start it for the ballroom now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start it for the virtual audience then, and everybody's going to be getting it at the same time. I just don't see that happening.
But I think, Mike, there is where the auctioneer's experience comes in, right? If you're able to, handle virtual, if you can camouflage that lag, I don't think anybody will ever know that there is a lag. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be, part of it's going to be doing it. This is going to be interesting to see. I've only done 2 hybrid to this point. And so, this is going to be kind of a learning curve. We're going to go into it with best practices. But I guess the biggest thing, as I mentioned earlier, is make sure you've got screaming internet at the site, and that you're dealing with a platform that has minimal lag time.
That's true. Yeah, I'm wondering if any more questions from anybody, or let me see, what else do I have? I wanted to ask Mike. Mike, any interesting ideas at post parties that you've seen?
Well, just post parties live or virtual?
So just post party, right? You finish your fundraising portion, you finish your entertainment, and yeah, people are just kind of mingling, chatting. And any interesting experience? We've seen the regular Zoom post parties, and we've seen a couple of new tools come up where people can go mingle. Have you seen it?
Right. Well, that would be exactly like where a Family Feud or a Jeopardy or a horse race or something like that would come in perfect. And I think you would want to set up Zoom is actually love you guys, but Zoom is actually, it's amazing what you can do in Zoom. So I would probably just have a link that comes up. Hey, if you're interested in having some more fun afterwards, this is our after party, and click on this link. But I think anything interactive, I actually did a musical Jeopardy that was a blast, where it was a Jeopardy-based program, but we had music videos, name that tune, all in a Jeopardy format. So the Zoom, I think Zoom is probably the best way to go. And as far as Nick goes, do you mind if did you post my?
Of course, no. I want to. Okay, Mike, if our audience reaches out to you. And,
oh yeah, feel free.
I know Mike is always open. But yes, no, that's great. Mike is always happy to help. He's always happy to discuss your events. for sure.
Yeah, or another auctioneer, whatever. Like I said at the beginning, auctioneers are awesome. I love the industry because everybody shares with everybody. And nobody's got the perfect way. It varies. So, it's fundraisersonly.com, or Mike at fundraisersonly.com, either way. And I'd certainly look forward to chatting with you. Nidhi, thanks for having me on board. I appreciate it. And just as an auctioneer that has had a few different platforms he's used, there's several that do a very good job, but I don't think you'll find better customer service or a better product than what PayBee offers. I've been really, really happy.
Thank you so much, Mike.
You guys are great.
We did not tell him to say that.
No, you guys are great. You are.
This is more for our community. Hope you all found it useful. And if you have any other ideas you want us to focus on and run a webinar, please let us know. We're always looking for what's interesting to you. So thank you again, Mike, for being here. Love having you.
Thanks everybody joining in. George and who else did we have that I knew? Any of my fellow auctioneers, thanks for joining in. I appreciate it, and thanks for all you do. I'm always looking for new ideas.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.